Good morning. Come one, come all. Diary of a Dashcam with Chronically Happy this morning. Ooh, I am not with it. I did take a heavy dose of my meds last night, so I'm still a little groggy from that. But my uppers should be counteracting that here pretty soon, and I decided to get some caffeine this morning. Always a bad thing on an empty stomach. I know this. I'm gonna have some bad stomach cramping there later. I just know it. I still got this sleep in my eyes. I'm extremely itchy this morning. I feel like I've definitely had too much of my allergens, and my body's like, okay, I've had enough. Stop putting this crap in my body. And yeah, it's about that time I need to stop. My meds are about gone, and I can't handle the inflammation anymore. The inflammation is really bad. I know it's really bad when I'm itchy all over like this. Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun feeling itchy, and like my clothes are uncomfortable touching my skin. Like anything touching my skin anywhere on my body it feels so uncomfortable. And I have such major neuropathy all over the place. All these nerves are like being cut off from the air supply, oxygen supply. I'm in great spirits though, other than that. I had to do my sinus rinse this morning, and I didn't do that much. It's been a full week since I've been to the Chiro. I did not go on Friday this week. I did not want to continue adding up my bill. like on the street itself. We had to like put it in the common area or on our driveways, because there's like really one side of the street is blocked off. They're working on each side. They're doing repaving our street, filling in the cracks, and repaving our street. There's a lot of controversy about it in the neighborhood. So my mom's out of town. My mom could not handle being trapped. She explains it as like feeling like a trapped, caged animal. I mean, I can't devaluate somebody's feelings like that. Like, I'm not trying to devalue her feelings or like say her feelings aren't valid. They are valid. Like, I understand anxiety all too well. But the difference between my mom and I is her anxiety and OCD about having control is way higher than mine. Like, I've accepted the fact that I can't control my body and its symptoms like a long time ago. I can try my best to manage them, but until you get the underlying cause treated, you're not gonna get the body to where it needs to be. And I know this. And I have problems with my spinal cord. It makes me happy to know that somebody I know just got back surgery this morning. So I'm not trying to skip around in my story here. But anyway, our street is under construction really bad. And it's caused some controversy, especially with my mom, where she didn't even say goodbye. She got into it like with my dad because he wasn't necessarily like the way my dad and I communicate are very similar, and it doesn't sit well with my mom at all. She does not like feeling not validated, I guess, in her feelings. I mean, my dad don't always like. We have to be mindful of her triggers, and her triggers are basically she's right no matter what, and it needs to be on her time when she wants it, how she wants it done, and it's just none of those things. Or she is just not given enough time to process things. She's very impulse reactionary. I understand where I get it now. Like, I see it myself from my mom. And I try my best to avoid my triggers and not necessarily avoid them, but like learning coping mechanisms of how to deal with not getting your way, I guess. I don't know. I've been accused so many times in friendships, relationships, that it always has to be my way or the highway. And I'm like, gosh, I really need to become better self-aware at this, how I portray myself, because that's not my intention. My intention is to not always be right. I can admit when I'm wrong. It's just, you have to get through this dumb, I'm not dumb. My thick skull sometimes. I try not to use any negative terms towards myself. Like, it's all about having a better self-image of yourself, loving yourself, be your own best friend talk. I was just reminded during my Stanford University pain management study, asking and talking about my pain is like a survey I do every month, and I think periodically during the week, sometimes here and there. And I get $20 gift card to Amazon. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to spend the next one on. I might just let my gift cards build up for a little bit, because there's some big ticket items that I would love to get for my vehicle and have them installed, which is another thing. I need to figure out a mechanic to go to get my taillights installed. bright signal in the back. It works in the front, but not in the back. But I really need to make headway on like doing my maintenance on my vehicles. Why do I got so much pitch on my vehicle? Ugh. What vehicle? I'm trying to think of the tree that could have done this to my vehicle while I was parked outside the street. It's really annoying. I do not like having pitch on my vehicle. I had it for years at my parents' house until they cut down that mother effing tree that was really messing with my parents' driveway and sidewalk, and it had a disease. It had a pitch problem. And being in forestry and taking urban forestry 2 times at 2 different colleges, I know a bit to do with trees. And I know when a tree is a hazard. And I know when you need to cut down trees, man. That's ridiculous. The city does a crappy job of it. All cities do. And they're considered certified tree something or other. It's been a while since I took the class, so anyways. So, as I was saying, we're doing work on our street, repaving, and it really triggered my mom to the point where she just picked up her stuff, packed a bag, and just left. Like, the last I knew, she was going to go meet my aunt and my cousin to trade something or do something. My ADHD, it goes in one ear and out the other. If I don't write it down, or if it's not the day that it happens, it's kind of a blur. Because it's really kind of insignificant facts. It's like, yeah, my mom went somewhere, but yeah, she never came back. Thank goodness it didn't trigger my abandonment issues at the time, but it's because we were on a decent relationship and it wasn't me that caused her to leave. It was my dad. Not necessarily just my dad, but like the road work being done triggered her anxiety so bad, like to the point where she really was starting to have heart pain, like her chest hurting, and like her panic attack, her anxiety attack was just overwhelming. And then my dad was not very helpful in helping her feel validated in her feelings. And then it's always like a couple days later that Dad and I will sit down and we will talk about my mom and be like, look, we really need to be more mindful, Dad, about how Mom feels and how we need to be supportive of her in certain ways that we are not naturally, that's not the way we communicate very well. That's not our love language, the way it doesn't match up with my mom's. Like, that's all I know is me and my dad have always had this unbroken bond. I'm a daddy's girl. Even though it's not like a typical daddy-daughter relationship. We like don't go do everything together, we don't. But we have so much more in common, me and my dad, than my brother does with my dad, or my mom and my brother actually are a lot more similar than me and my brother, or me and my mom and my brother have a lot similar characteristics within their personality. I don't know if you want to call that characteristics, like little personality traits, or I don't know. My brain's not fully functional yet. It's working up to it. I'm trying. But my brother and my mom are very similar in the way they think. And they both have very strong personalities, but my brother is more soft-spoken than my mom. And it was just the way that my brother and I are raised. I mean, basically, respect your elders, do not talk back. What says goes. We were basically almost raised to be like little slaves. Like, child labor, always had to have this house spotless, had to always have our rooms clean. Like, always had to do the family thing, go help out the elders. Like, that was like really the thing. Respect and do what they say. Do not question what they say. Just do what you're told. And me being me, I never do what I'm told. I always want to naturally just do the opposite. I'm dyslexic. I have hidden learning disabilities that I have masked so well throughout my entire life because I was told it was wrong to have learning disabilities. I was told and brainwashed by my mom that I had nothing wrong with me. And that's where it's been so hard to learn to accept my own disabilities and learning issues, because I was told I was basically a perfect child, even though I wasn't a perfect child. I was always in trouble. I was always misbehaving, when really it was just lack of comprehension because of my learning disabilities. I was punished for my learning disabilities, basically. I did not get the nurture from my mother that today's society would really encourage, I guess. This was the 80s. It was different then. And there's so many more research studies out since then. And knowledge is power. And I have had to learn to put the pieces together as an adult, only because of my brother, learning through my brother and his children. Learning that his son, their first child, my brother and ex-sister-in-law, my nephew, their first child had, I remember he had like two facet growing pains or something. I remember I was in and out of the Navy during the time of my nephew being born and like really small. I only came home on leave on occasion, so I didn't really get to see my nephew grow up as much as I didn't even really get to see my niece grow up, because by the time I got out of the military, my brother and sister-in-law got divorced. And so I really didn't. And then my ex-sister-in-law got pretty much 3/4 custody. My brother would get them during the summer, and they would spend their summers with their dad and weekends with their moms, and vice versa during the school year. They would stay with my ex-sister-in-law and then see my brother on the weekends. And then they alternate holidays each year. But of course, Mother's Day is Mother's Day and Father's Day is Father's Day, so those were given that we would get them during those holidays. So I missed my nephew and his like formative years as a child. My brother and sister-in-law were together. He has now since remarried. I have a new sister-in-law. Coincidentally, my brother lives exactly right next door to where my parents live. When my parents were looking for a house and selling their house in Kaiser, Oregon, this was like during COVID times, and the housing market was booming for sellers. It was a seller's market. Everything just inflated and just went up, and so my parents got a lot of money from their house. So they had a pretty good place, pretty good amount of money to be able to get a house. And if they had any repairs to do, they had enough money to be able to do some of those, the majority of those. And my mom finally got the kitchen that she got to design and love on her own. Like, what's so crazy though is like my parents were like, we want the same kind of lifestyle my brother has, you know, kind of not really in the city, but not way far out in the middle of nowhere, because my brother works forestry. There's a Detroit lake here in Oregon that is a little bit east of Salem that my brother used to live out towards, and it was really very rural, and so it was really best that my niece and nephew were more suburban, rural, you know, they didn't go to school out in the mountain, which only would have been like a population of like probably 100 kids or whatever, in the high school there, because very small population. But with my brother working in forestry, he has a lot of remote locations. He doesn't really have choices to live unless he really wants to commute to work. I mean, that's just the life of a forester. I learned that with forestry as well. I was stationed in the middle of nowhere in Southern Oregon. I was in Prospect, Oregon, working for the Forest Service for my internship before I graduated college. Then I graduated college, and then I worked in Eastern Oregon, because that was another part of Oregon that we really never really explored as a child growing up with vacations and stuff. We really did a lot of camping and hunting and fishing and stuff on the coast. It was always the coast. The coast was the area. We would always go hunting near the coast. We would always go camping near the coast. I absolutely love the ocean because of it. I mean, I can't help it. Our oceans are cold though, so it's not best for swimming in, but surfers love it with wetsuits. We got quite the coastline here in Oregon. It's really rocky and jagged, and I mean, there's some beautiful beaches too, but it's not the same. It's not the same as California beaches or Hawaiian or Florida or even the Carolinas. But the Carolinas, that, the Atlantic Ocean looked dirty. It just looked dirty. It's brownish green, It wasn't as pretty to look at or swim in, even though it did feel a little bit warmer. But yeah, I remember a lot of jellyfish when I went to the beach a couple times in Virginia Beach when I was stationed in the Navy in Virginia. The water was just gross looking compared to the Pacific Ocean. And I have been to Maryland and I had the famous Maryland blue crabs, and I tell you what, they are just not as good as the Pacific Ocean Dungeness crab. And Alaskan or king crab legs, those still suck compared to Dungeness crab. I hope I'm not really offending anybody on the East Coast, or I love crab like that. But Dungeness are fatter legs. They have more meat, but it does not take as long to crack those legs compared to a king crab or a blue crab. There's just not as much meat in those legs. Those king crab legs may be long, but they're super skinny, and they just don't have the meat compared to the Dungeness. The Dungeness crab is where it's at. There's nothing that will ever change my mind. I've tried all of the kind of crabs, and sorry, Pacific Coast, West Coast got it. We got better crab. I said it. I don't know how I got on that topic. Oh yeah, anyway, camping. Growing up, this is my family dynamic here. But anyways, when my parents were looking for a house, and there were 2 houses on the street for sale, on the street that my brother lived on. Ironically, at the same time that my parents sold their house. And they were like, how perfect would that be, that we could actually see our grandchildren when my brother has them, more opportunity to just pop in on my brother and trying to have a better relationship with him, because he's been as an adult, he doesn't go to family functions, he doesn't spend time with my aunts or uncles at all, he doesn't really communicate with them, he just doesn't have an interest in really much family functions at all with extended family, let alone mom and dad. My mom has felt so neglected throughout the years because of my brother being so anti, you need to call before, you can't just come over to the house. I can't just go over and knock on the door because it makes his dog go crazy, for one, and 2, he doesn't want unexpected visitors. I try my best to respect his privacy, I respect his rules and what he wants, and he's just trying to have boundaries. hard because I've always wanted a better relationship with my brother. It still kind of hurts me. But he's my big brother, man. He used to talk for me. He always knew what I wanted as a baby. Like, him and I are so similar. But he does not allow the connection to form. Still hurts me to this day, as you can see, but I love my brother. I respect his boundaries. And I try my best to just not trigger him, because he has so many things to work out on his own with his own generational trauma that he experienced with me at the same time. We just process things differently. Very similarly, really, but differently. Well, I'm at my appointment, but because I had some stuff to let out there. It's just one of those days. And I'll feel better after my adjustment, so maybe I'll continue this conversation after I get out. So, peace out. To be continued.